Breaking news. Welcome to today's headlines. Expecting Bruce Fein to resign from Nnamdi Kanu's case. Expecting Bruce Fein to resign from Nnamdi Kanu's case. To my dear listeners, from wherever you're listening from, please stay tuned as I read today's news. Whether you knew that already or not, Bruce Fein has played an important role in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. He has been speaking and writing about the case outside Nigeria. His letters to the UN agencies and other international organizations are of great importance. The letters are of professional and international standards, which increased the chances of the case being taken seriously outside Nigeria. The primary work of a defense lawyer is to develop and present an alternative narrative than that provided by the prosecutor. Bruce Fein is very good at articulating an alternative, even a compelling alternative, narrative for the case of Nnamdi Kanu and the cause of IPOB agitation. Fein knows most American senators and congressmen personally. He has contact with major international media houses. He is useful to Nnamdi Kanu now and beyond. Having had Bruce Fein as part of the case and given the spectacular theater created when the defense team walked out on the court because Bruce Fein was not allowed in an observer, it will be very damaging now if Bruce Fein resigns from the cases in such a publicized, controversial manner. Even though Aloy Ejimako is equally good in the international law aspect of this case, Fein's involvement allows Ejimako to concentrate more on the work of the team in Nigeria. However, as much as Bruce Fein has a role to play, I believe he will probably resign from any further representation if Ejiofor remains part of Nnamdi Kanu's case. It will be surprising to see any lawyer willing to remain in the case if Ejiofor remains in the case. Bruce Fein is answerable to a higher ethical standard than what is obtained in Nigeria. He will not remain in the case with Ejiofor as a member of the defense team. Ejiofor's presence undermines every effort to defend Nnamdi Kanu. Ejiofor's role as lawyer for Nnamdi Kanu's case or in the case of IPOB is a negative one. Everybody is talking about it. Ejiofor, having been associated with fraud, it rubs off on Kanu and IPOB. People are beginning to think that they are all fraudulent people. The concept of beer fraud is gaining ground rapidly. No lawyer of what will be part of it. It is so glaring. Hence, Bruce Fein said to Ejiofor in his letter to Ejiofor, "How can you be blind to what all the world can see and understand?" Very apt. That question can actually be directed to Dr. Mike Ozekome and all the lawyers involved in this case. Why they're failing to see and understand the implications of having a Ejiofor as part of Kanu's defense team. A good lawyer does not allow any controversy around him to overshadow or interfere with his client's case, which in itself is a controversy. Once you see that your involvement in a case could become controversial and constitute a distraction to your client's case, you withdraw. The fact that Ejiofor is so desperate to remain Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer in the circumstance shows you several things. First, that Ejiofor is incompetent and poorly trained as a lawyer, and second, that he has an intention to hurt Nnamdi Kanu. He does not have the interest of Nnamdi Kanu at heart. When Ejiofor threatened to sue me for defamation for saying this, I laughed. He does not understand that the fact that he concealed from Nnamdi Kanu is indictment for fraud, and his active prosecution for fraud for 6 years was so egregious a conduct that it would be justified and legitimate to attribute any motive to him. His failure to understand the consequences of his action and inaction shows how poor he is. The same with every lawyer working with him. I have justification to question what is going on in Ejiofor's office. I have justification to assume that his law firm is just a criminal enterprise. So, I am so elated to have the opportunity to explain this to the whole world in the course of the adjudication of any lawsuit he files. In fact, I will expand the case to join every lawyer in that law firm and, in fact, call every member of Kanu's defense team as a witness. I want every one of them to explain what he thought when he realized that Ejiofor was facing trial for fraud and forgery. I love it. I expect that Ejiofor will withdraw or be fired before April 8, 2022, which is the date for the next hearing on the case. If not, I can say that an irreversible disaster has occurred in the case, and every member of the defense team without exception could be complicit in malpractice. To my dear listeners, now we've come to the end of our today's news. Please do drop by at the comment section and let us know what your view is all about. Thank you for listening.